How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about ChargePoint. You know, this is one of my long-term high conviction plays. It has been on quite the run as of late, and I've realized it's been a while since I've given you guys a video, so we're going to talk about it right now. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is a technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we're going to be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for ChargePoint. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $19.88, being up 2.63%. On the low, it tested $19.04, and then on the high, testing $20.11. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 9.568 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 6.756 million shares. So we had above average volume on the day, and it's part of the reasons why we've seen some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 67.51. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, you can see we are below the 200-day, but we are above the 50-day as well as the 21-day EMA and for the 100-day. So seeing this overall, we have the 21-day EMA that's about to cross over the 100-day. So ChargePoint is going to continue to look bullish. So what I want to look forward to as far as for the month of April, I want to see us making a test to the 200-day moving average at $20.98. We did end up seeing a high of $20.11, so I feel this is very achievable. Are we going to be able to get to $20.98 or $21 by tomorrow? There is a possibility of that, but I am not seeing it. But as far as for next week and moving forward, the potential is definitely there for ChargePoint to reach this level, especially if we're able to break through $20.11. I'm looking for that breakout because the next level of resistance where we have to deal with would be right here around $20.58, but buying volume can just push us right through that and we can get above the 200-day moving average, and that will officially take ChargePoint out of the bear market that it's in. So that's why you want to keep a very close eye. If we do end up having a pullback, knowing that the RSI is at 67.51 and there's some profit taking, then I'm looking for ChargePoint to actually hold support right at the 100-day, which is at $18.18. And this is not a bad area whatsoever if the stock decides to cool off, because as long as we're consolidating within this range right above $18 or at $18, ChargePoint can still make that move up for the month of April. So now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for ChargePoint. As we scroll down further on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings, you can see we have BlackRock with a closed position on March the 29th, which was 100%. And as we go down even further, we have JP Morgan Climate Change Solutions ETF. This was back on the 25th. That purchased 6,430 shares. And then we can see for the 24th and as well as for the 23rd, we have Fidelity, and we also have ARK that purchased 38,351 shares and as well as 11,254 shares. And as far as for the beginning of March, we've already covered that in the previous video. And one thing I want to bring to your attention as well, you can see as of late, especially for the month of March, institutions have loaded up on shares. And then when we take a look at our short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 43.76%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 1.07 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 4.1 million, updated 5 minutes ago. And then when we take a look at the short borrow fee rate, it is at 1.01%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 29th, it was at 45.69. And then for the close of the 30th, which was yesterday, being at 43.76. So what this shows us, ChargePoint does have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution.
Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for ChargePoint. So on the inflow, it's at 28.68, and then on the outflow, it's at 24.28. So we had an inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 0. On the medium, it was 14.82. And then on the small, it is 13.86. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 0. On the medium, it was 14.70. And then on the small, it was 9.58. Keep in mind, these numbers are in the millions. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see from March the 31st, which is today, we ended up having 0. But we did have an outflow day on the 30th, which was just over 761,000. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we have more buying than we had selling. And of course, for the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had 0 on both sides. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 2.96%. Not too bad for a growth stock like ChargePoint, and I'm not surprised about it either. But one thing that is very clear, there's a lot of demand in the market for ChargePoint shares, and it is in a strong uptrend. We'll talk about it further inside of the final thoughts, so let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for ChargePoint, when it comes to the price action, it is very clear that we have resistance right at $20. The moment we get some price action trying to get above it and gain momentum, we get slapped right back down. So if we continue to have these pullbacks, as long as we're holding support right around the 100-day, which is at $18.18, and if we want to consolidate, build support there, I feel that is perfectly fine, especially going into the month of April, and we see continued strength. But as far as getting ChargePoint out of the bear market that it's in, we needed to get to $21. The moment it gets above $21, that puts it above the 200-day moving average, and then it's back to being in a bull market. So you want to keep an eye on these levels. It is very important if you're going to be trading it. But one thing that is very clear, there's a lot of demand due to the geopolitical issues that we have going on. We know all the concerns around oil, so we know a lot of EV plays are getting a lot of attention. Plus, on top of that, on the operational side, ChargePoint is getting a lot done. We talked about the partnership that they had with Toyota, and recently announcing a deal with Goldman Sachs Renewable Power. So that's why I love ChargePoint. They're getting these deals done, and we know they're one of the top names in this space. So if you haven't been taking a look at it, that is perfectly fine. I know it is a growth stock. They haven't shown consistent profitability as of yet, and that is very important because it does have an impact on its valuation. Yes, it is overpriced due to the fact that they do not have any profits, but it's just going to take some time. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and buy the stock. You have to do your homework and as well as your due diligence. But when I was talking about it before, when it had that mean pullback getting down to $12 to $13, this is an area of interest where you might want to load up, especially when we take a look at the technicals. And look where it's at right now. So congratulations to those that were able to load up on those shares when this stock was pulling back. And just as a reminder, if you are swing trading this play, you want to make sure that you're moving up your stop loss, protect those profits. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. No surprises there. There's a lot of negative market sentiment around the stock because, again, this is not a profitable business as of yet. And then we could see clearly institutions have been loading up on shares, which I mentioned is great news for long-term investors. With institutions being heavily invested, we know that they're looking for a return on their investment. They're not going to be dumping their money in this stock if they don't see any upside whatsoever. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today, and it was great to see how ChargePoint performed while the market was selling off towards the end of the day. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking real soon.